It's hard. We feel it inside the walls. Morale is low.
The president of Lompoc Firefighters Local 1906 says it's comments like this that degrade morale.
There's $928,000 in overspend in 1 year.
What are those departments?
It was the fire department.
Lompoc Firefighters Union President Anthony Hudley says that number from a June 2017 document showing that the department overspent close to $1 million is just not accurate. He says it was taking into account multiple unfilled positions and injuries.
That was clarified by the finance director stating that those numbers were inaccurate, and because they actually went down the itemized list and realized that it actually was more of $400,000, and that was also contributed to us being short-staffed, having individuals on industrial leave.
You didn't receive correction from the finance director and fire officials that $928,000 was a mistake?
No, we've never corrected the audit report. This is the official book. People can say whatever they want, but this here is an official book.
Hudley says he's met with Lompoc City Councilman Jim Mosby.
We've sat with that individual a number of times and clarified, and they acknowledged the fact that that's not a true number.
Why are we
No.
stuck on this $928,000?
That's not what I was told. And you can have those guys, I'll meet with you and those guys right now, but that is not what I was told.
So they're lying to me?
No, they're confused with what that was. That number was told to me was because way he had done his math and he carried numbers from the previous year.
It was multiple
Into
unfilled positions and that salary.
No, his money was spent.
Hudley says city management and the union agreed to a 4-year compensation package equaling just over $270,000 with 2 annual 3% raises.
This is a city document right here.
Okay.
And this is what they stated. It works out to as that. That was and the total pay was $366,000.
Not every employee is going to get the F-step increase. Not every employee gets optional scope pay. So why are the numbers not lining up?
Mosby is adamant that he does not have a vendetta against the fire department, and no one is planning on cutting rescue.
What I'm saying is that we need to be truthful what's out there so we have all the numbers on the table. But the fire department and other departments don't need to go out and say that we aren't taking care of them.
But in a recent city council budget workshop, fire leadership explained to officials that the proposed 8.7% budget cut would terminate 3 firefighters.
So we're pretty much the lowest paid fire department in the Santa Barbara County, and we're just asking for them just to invest in their employees.
In just a matter of days, major cuts kick in for the city of Lompoc. Last night, City Council adopted a budget that makes over $3 million in spending cuts.
That includes holding some 30 vacant positions and completely eliminating some city departments. Our own Casey Drescher sat down with city officials and staff. She joins us live from Lompoc City Hall with more on Lompoc's new reality.
Scott Janelle, in addition to a continued staffing freeze for police, the 2019-2021 budget eliminates a fire battalion chief and slashes some $600,000 in fire overtime. And what happened after the vote came down has people talking too. As city manager Jim Troop tries to find open vacancies for 6 city staff to transition to, he calls Lompoc's new normal one of the biggest challenges of his 34-year career.
Lots of, chess pieces moving around, and it's going to have an impact on the services.
Troop says the city is facing a situation where services are in a reduction mode, and Lompoc's fire chief warned the council of what these cuts will mean to service and the loss of a dedicated fire marshal.
Without that position, we're putting the whole city in jeopardy.
Councilman Jim Mosby says he hasn't seen the numbers to reflect that claim.
They're not all cuts. They're cuts in some of those are in increases that we requested. So fortunately, we have more new revenue coming in every year, so it's not as horrific as it seems.
But Lompoc Fire Union President Anthony Hudley paints a different picture.
We are now bound by an overtime limit, and if we hit that limit, we're going to have to brown out the rescue. Sometimes we have 3 calls that happen in a row. We only have 2 engines in this town, so that call is going to have to wait.
And the fire department's overtime has been a source of contention for both Mosby and fire leadership.
The main issue was the extra overtime component of $700,000 I requested.
In last budget, they were authorized $285,000. We authorized $350,000. So it was actually an increase over last year's budget.
It's a challenge when you're limited below what your 5-year average is. We're going to have this conversation again in a year, and we're going to be made to look like the bad guys.
Hudley says clarification is needed when addressing the issue.
If we run to the limit of that overtime, then we have to staff the department. Or do we have to call? What if it's on a Saturday at 8 o'clock at night and we need to bring people in, but the overtime budget is maxed out?
A concerned community member sought that clarification from Mosby after Monday's budget workshop.
From what I understand, it sounds like that they just wanted to express again that they make sure that the community is their number one priority and that the city employees as a whole were the priority. And then it became very heated and debating about numbers that are inaccurate.
You can see the men engaged in what appears to be a heated conversation in this cell phone video we obtained.
He got my attention, and he got the answers why I did the actions that I did. So I don't think there was any threats of anything that people think. It was more out of a passionate component that I see that Pastor Bernie had.
And Mosby says he's passionate about the budget.
A lot of times when people elevate their volume, you elevate yours as well. I did walk away, and he did follow me quite a ways, and he wanted answers, so I felt it was best to give him the answers.
Standing in front of a seismically unsound fire station, Hudley wants answers too.
When it becomes elevated to a point where it is becoming maybe a disagreement, then that's a concern, because how do we move the city forward?
Mosby says these cuts are the smallest cuts council has made in the last 5 to 10 budgets, and if they need to make changes to the fire marshal position, they can do so in the future if need be. In Lompoc, I'm Casey Drescher, KCOI 12 Central Coast News.
Thanks, Casey. Now to